This week's episode of Aussie is brought to you by Sculpt New Company. Register your company immediately today with ASIC. ABN, TFN, GST registration is also available directly from the portal. Also set up your family trust and self-managed superannuation fund and more. All at startnewcompany.com.au. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/startnewco and keep an eye out for our regular specials. Start your new company now within 10 minutes of lodgement. All legal company documentation provided after registration. Startnewcompany.com.au. Also brought to you by ithwebhosting.com.au. All our servers are operating on SSD drives, immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration and more. Easy install WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and 300 other one-click installations. Generous space and bandwidth, auto backups, WordPress help and maintenance plans are also available on Contact. If your webpage is important for your business or your life, contact us today. Aussie support, secure services, ithwebhosting.com.au. And now for the show.
Welcome to episode 719 of the Old Fart Geeks, recorded on the 1st of April 2021. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and this is my co-host, Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Good evening, or morning,
Good to
or
see ya.
afternoon, or wherever we are.
It's dark outside my house.
So it must be the night of April the 1st. Okay.
Yeah.
How
How's
goes
things
it?
going up north?
Are
Are you allowed out of your house yet?
Well, see, this is the dumb part. Speaking of April 1st and practical jokes. So at lunchtime today, they go, hey, we've lifted the lockdown. You guys are free to go. Except you actually can't, because you can't congregate in your house. And if you go out, you still have to wear a mask. If you got other people around and you go shopping, you have to wear a mask. But if you go to a restaurant, you don't need a mask as long as you're sitting down. You can also go to a nightclub, provided you sit down. You're not required to wear a mask, and but you're still required to follow the maximum people in the 1.5 metre rule. But you can go to a sporting event in an oval in an open air situation. You're not required to wear a mask at all, regardless of whether you're standing up or sitting down.
Or if you're near somebody?
So.
Sounds like you're having fun.
That's
all this stuff we miss out being in a little New South Wales town.
So basically, yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's all a load of crap. But you read you only have to read the Queensland whatever they are, website thing that's got the what you can and can't do and this and that and the other. You only really need to read it 3 or 4 times slowly and think about what's been said, and you realise you're being had. So it's definitely an April Fool's joke as far as I'm concerned.
At least you get 4 days off.
Well, the good news is I actually get 2 weeks off.
What?
Yeah,
I only get 4 days.
I know, but the neat part is because it's a public 4-day weekend, and then we're back for 3 days, and then it's like next weekend's a long weekend as well, and the weekend after. So I'm taking 2 weeks off, but I'm only actually taking about 6 days leave.
How do you score that?
So that worked out really well. So I'm not complaining about that. But yeah, no, it's still, the weather's still stupid. It was like 12 degrees last night, and it was 30 degrees an hour ago. So I don't know. And then it's supposed to be, there's a flood warning out already for like Sunday, Monday.
Oh, we got rid of that. We don't want any more flood anymore.
Yeah, your bridge open yet?
Yeah, don't need to light traffic, no big trucks.
So you still can't get food?
Yeah. It comes in through the north. Bridge,
I was going to say,
right.
They go around the other way, don't they? Yeah.
Yep.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. Speaking of the April Fool's jokes, everyone saw the Volkswagen one that failed because they released it a few days early. They're going to rename the company VOLTS Wagon.
I mean, if you're going to, at least pretend to have an April Fool's joke, you got to at least release it on the right day. Technically, they should have been the day after us anyway, because they're behind us. So
it's like 4 days too early. So that was a screw up. Because everyone's like, "Are they really renaming the company? It's not April Fool's yet or anything." And they're like, "Oh yeah, Bob down at the marketing accidentally released it a few days early. Sorry." Lol, it's funny though.
There's a quote here by Eric Gordon, who's a business and law professional at the University of Michigan. And he's like, it's incredibly stupid, but if being stupid was illegal, a third of the CEOs in the US would be in jail.
Exactly. Is that willingly or unwillingly stupid?
I don't think it matters.
But I know how you embezzled all that money. No, I don't remember that.
But it was sort of funny.
There's no money in it.
They got to be careful because it can. in 2018, Elon Musk tweeted that he had funding secured to take the company private, and of course that skyrocketed their stock price.
Yeah, that's illegal.
And although it actually cost Tesla $20 million in penalties to the Security Economics, the SEC, because even though it was an April Fool's joke, it affected the
stock anyway.
It affected the stock price, and they're actually expecting a similar thing to happen with Volkswagen.
Yeah,
because it shifted their stocks and everything up as well. So
I'll get in the show.
It lifted up their stock price by 5%. So it's entirely possible that they're going to get in trouble. Actually, no, it has. I'm just reading. They actually have come through. It's cost. Oh no, that's for a different scandal. That was for
another.
That was their software screw
emissions
up emissions one. That cost them £30 billion, which is like $46 billion. So
they're just doing the same as the graphics card driver manufacturers that would detect if you're running a benchmark and then boost all the power and everything in them.
Yeah, but in a graphics card, it doesn't actually affect the outcome.
No.
In a car, 1,000 kilometers range and you only get 600. That's a big difference, especially when you're trying to drive somewhere. So but.
I saw Subway was releasing a coriander cookie, which I hate coriander. I'm one of the people with that gene that makes you hate it. And it tastes like kerosene.
I love the smell of coriander, but I'm not a fan of it. It smells when you cook with it. It smells really good, but it doesn't do anything as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there are a couple of exceptions to that, but it's specific to Asian dishes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, but Boost Juices did one as well.
Yeah.
Where they said they're going to give up they're going to give in to the vegans, and they're going to have completely vegan juice. And they're going to ditch their mango and coconut smoothie or whatever it is, which is like their highest selling one that they make.
All the chicks love that one, man.
I like that one.
There we see.
Hang on a minute.
What are you?
I see what you did there.
You fell into my trap.
Yes, I mean, there's been a few kind of okay-ish ones.
The funniest one I like was Stack Overflow, where if you start copying code from their web pages after a couple of copies, it would say, you've reached your maximum limit of copying for today. Please go to our website and download and purchase the key. The key, they call it Stack Overflow, the key, which has got a Stack Overflow button with C and a V for copy and paste. The only things in it. That would be probably handy.
I was going to say, if somebody actually literally made...
Remember when Think Geek did those mini arcades that for April Fool's joke, and then they
actually got really popular,
and it was the biggest seller they ever had?
Well, you know VAT 69.
Yeah.
That's how they started. They started off making gimmick, like... not VAT 69, VAT 49, the ones that make the gummy bears. I need to look it up while I'm talking. But they started off by making these sort of things that you wouldn't really make. Like they were just like mucking around and making VAT 19. There we go. It was VAT something. So they made these, like giant gummy bears that are 5-pound gummy bears, and they made these massive snakes, and they made all this sort of stuff that nobody in their right mind would make. They literally just made them as like April Fool's jokes and as pranks and as things just to have a world record.
Big sellers.
And they've ended up being so popular that they've actually made an entire...
Can I buy some diabetes, please?
Yeah, basically. They've made an entire... living out of this stuff now. So whether you've got the world's largest gummy bears, in all different flavors and stuff, and they do giant snakes, and they do all this sort of stuff, and
that's crazy.
All because of that whole let's prank somebody, and it just got so popular that they turned into a business model. So occasionally a really good prank can actually... This
show is a prank.
Everything about this show is a prank.
One of these days, it'll be popular.
Yeah, and then the joke will be on you.
We're going for the long run here, 719 episodes. We're going for the long...
Yeah, it's not. It's a slow build.
It's like very, very like molasses. Yeah.
It's like that pitch drop that they caught on camera once 20 years ago.
Yes.
It takes like 75 years.
Because the guy went out for coffee just when it happened.
But yes, they do. They do.
Sushi
candy
ones.
sushi, and they do like candy pizza rolls and cakes
wow.
and drinks, and this is all candy stuff.
Waffles?
Yeah, donuts and waffles, and it's all candy. And they do normal stuff like licorice strips and stuff as well. But yeah, it's really. I remember for a party years ago, we actually ordered one of their giant gummy bears. Like I was showing before, they do a big one. It's called a serving platter.
Yep.
And it's, I don't know if it's on here. It's around somewhere, but it's basically its belly is hollow, so you fill it full of chocolates and stuff. So you can eat the gummy bear, but you can also eat whatever is in his belly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're not bad, but
9 out of 10 dentists recommend purchasing giant gummy bears.
But I was going to say the same thing could apply to this. I mean, it's with this copy and paste thing. I mean, it's not unusual to see a USB numpad, or so why can't you have a USB copy and paste?
There's a wireless one for you.
Yeah, well, there you go. Oh, really? I haven't seen a wireless one. That's cool. I mean, it makes sense. I've seen wireless keyboards, so it makes sense. It'd be it's a Microsoft one. Sweet.
Yeah, it goes with their Sculpt keyboard. That's the new ones that I get these days.
Ah, so that's their replacement for the ergonomic.
Yeah.
Because I'm still running the old school.
Yeah, I broke all mine or spilled water or something.
She's a bit beat up. There's not much of the pads left. And
yeah,
most of the keys are missing, but
everything went out because we had council bulk waste pickup this week, so there was so much stuff out there.
I'll have to hit you up after the show and get the details for that keyboard, because mine's just about the old space bar is just about.
It's great. I got the Sculpt mouse too.
Wow, that's different. That reminds me of one of the old school Logitech ones, one of the first wireless ones they did. It was just like that. It just looked like a rock that somebody had sat on the desk.
Yeah, I even tried, because I used to get a lot of RSI, a vertical mouse, where you hold it that way and move it.
I could never
the buttons that way.
And then they had the at work where I was working in Melbourne in the computer industry, because we had limited space on our benches. We had the giant, not the little trackballs, but the big ones.
Yep.
I think they were a
That'd be
Logitech
great.
one, and they were it was like rolling a beach ball around your table. Like it was just
like rubbing my belly.
The one thing I actually used when I had when I was in the car and I had a laptop set up in the car for doing mobile invoicing and stuff, I actually had a thumb tracker one, and it had a little sensor on the top of the screen, and you'd move your thumb around and it'd move the mouse around wherever your thumb pointed on the screen. It actually worked quite well. It was very gimmicky. I don't think it was intended to actually be functional, but it actually worked quite well.
One of the most popular pages on my website is how to get the Microsoft Sculpt mouse and keyboard to work properly with the Mac. It can easily do it, but you just have to do a lot of research. What do I download? What do I install and stuff? But they all go to my website because it must come up in the search pretty much, and that's big as hit.
You mean a Microsoft product doesn't work on a Mac properly?
No, because they've got all these extra buttons and stuff. What the fuck's it got to do with the Windows button?
Yeah. Doesn't that reassign to like the Apple logo or something?
Not on here. On the keyboard it does, but not on the mouse. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's got that on me.
Yeah. But that can be reassigned to anything as well. I usually use things like I need a back button for the mouse and either a forward button, or you can tilt the scroll wheel. You can tilt it to the right and go right page or whatever.
That's one thing I miss about this mouse. My last mouse, you could do that with a scroll wheel. You could scroll left or right. So if you're looking, like if you zoom in on a picture, you could scroll up, down, left, and right. Yep. And you can't do that with this one. That's one. I didn't realize how much I used that until I don't have it anymore. The one thing that does bug me though, the two buttons on the side are literally where your thumb sits. Like not near where your thumb rests, but actually under where your thumb sits. When you're holding it, your thumb actually covers both those buttons. Yep. So if you just slightly move your finger the wrong way, one's the back button and one's I can't remember the scroll, I think. Scroll lock. Yep. So if you just slightly bump it the wrong way, next thing you know, you're visiting 5 pages ago.
I just
dear.
typed in my name, bank details, and I was
I
about to
have
hit submit.
Yes, I have done that on. That's why it bugs me, because that's the main time it happens.
Every time.
And it's not like the browser goes, "Hey, you got information up here. Do you sure you want?" Like, you delete your email and you click close and it goes, "Hey, I haven't finished that operation yet." But no, you fill out an entire 12-page form. It doesn't care.
But it's all gone. Lol.
Anyway, enough about me.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. And that's it.
Oh, something I found out interesting today. I did probably mentioned it before, I was doing a retro jam for the VZ200, and I made a new game. You can get it from warlock.itch.io. It's called Pipes, and it's kind of a Mario Brothers type style thing where you jump and flip turtles and stuff. And the guys were talking about what's a good kind of... a guy took a photo of his setup, and it had a Rode microphone.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, are you Scandinavian or something? Because it's got the slash through the O." And he was like, "No, actually, these are from Australia. And there's a company in Australia. They're very popular there." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I've got a Rode microphone. I love it. I use it for my voiceovers. I use it for my podcasting." And so he looked up where they got the name from. And it turns out that it was rodent. Like a mouse is a rodent,
Yeah.
but for a joke, they made the name of the company Rode, and then they named this microphone the NT-1. So it was Rode NT, and then they put the slash through it because the owner of the company his family history was Scandinavian.
Yeah, Peter
so that's the only
Friedman.
reason he did it, but they made in Australia. So
What-
that was an interesting story.
It's interesting how he actually came up with that, because Peter Friedman, who started Rode, actually had Friedman Electronics. It was a massive, fairly big electronics store.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, and they started getting into trouble, I want to say, early 80s, after China basically started taking over, a lot of that sort of stuff. And he was trying to figure out what to do. And they're like, well, he had already designed a couple of microphones for bands and but not really mainstream.
Yeah.
But he basically went, well, let me just pretty these up a bit and I'll start selling them. And initially, they started supporting Friedman Electronics with the mics, and they just ditched Friedman Electronics altogether and went into the sound side of it. Unfortunately, Henry died in like late 80s, like 87, something like that. But Peter, who was his son, sort of took over and started stepping up with, and he's the one who really got into the sound side of things.
Audio processing and stuff.
Yeah, and he didn't have a lot to do with it prior to that, other than sort of working his dad's store,
Yep.
But I'll tell you what was close. It was a whole Elon Musk thing again. It came right down to the wire. Like they were about to declare bankruptcy. Like it was days away from the company being bankrupt.
Yeah.
And he's fulfilled the first contract, and it just rolled from
Same
there.
thing happened with Sphero. Their company was going to go bankrupt, and then they brought out Star Wars and wanted to have a round robot with a head on it to be BB-8. So they contacted Sphero and said, "Can you make something like that?" And they did, and then they could license it and sell BB-8s, and suddenly the company took off, and everyone's buying remote-controlled little robots and stuff.
Yeah,
That company was just about to shut down. They weren't making any money.
it's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that doesn't happen anywhere near as much as it used to, because generally if they want to buy a product long term, they usually look at the history of the company and sort of go, well, are you a stable company? If you're not, we don't want to purchase from you. But no,
Yeah.
that's what happened to us in when I was working in the computer industry in Melbourne. It was right in that 2000 era when the whole Millennium Bug thing was, and we refused to be part of that. Like we just said point blank, we're not entertaining that theory, and didn't want to know about it. And that hurt us because we weren't charging $500 to Millennium Proof your system, and all these other companies around us were suddenly going gangbusters, and we weren't, and we lost a couple of contracts. We lost a banker, and we lost a Flight Centre because that wasn't actually Flight Centre, but one of those travel agencies, because they said no, we want our servers, we want our computers, we want them all done, and we're like, well, we're not doing it because it's not a real thing. Like, we're not charging you.
Somebody made a compliance thing, and everyone just had to jump on board.
We're not charging you hundreds of thousands of dollars to equip all your dumb terminals, certify them.
Yeah.
Like, it's pointless. And we lost those contracts, and that hurt us as a business. Like, we just about went under.
Somebody else who will charge us lots of money.
And yeah, exactly. They did. We know exactly who they went to down there too, and they were charging them $500 per dumb terminal and $5,000 per server.
God.
We worked it out at
Cleaned up.
With the numbers.
Got a new yacht next week.
Well, with the numbers we had, it was something like a $10 million contract with the numbers we had from their systems. But we were in luck. The Melbourne University got quoted from the guys that they were using, who was actually the ones who took over the bank and the other operations.
Yep.
They quoted the university $5 million or something to secure all their stuff. And the head techs of the uni, like, we're not doing it. It's not a legit thing. Go away. And so they fired them, but they still needed a tech company to build their servers and rack cases and mounts and all that sort of stuff. And we just happened to be doing a seminar there with Grantech, which at the time, Grantech was a huge innovation from Taiwan that let you do screen capturing and remote teleconferencing and all this sort of stuff. And we're doing a conference at the university on that. And one of their techs just came to watch because he was there. And he was so impressed that they approached us after the thing and said, hey, do you guys want to do our tech support for Melbourne Uni? And went, okay.
Yes, please.
Sure, no worries. We can squeeze you in. And that's that was that one key, like, that seminar was our last ditch effort to stay open.
Yeah.
And I mean, it must have worked because they're still using the same website that I built for them back in '99.
Robust as hell.
It's so funny. If you go, I haven't checked for a while, but
it's
yeah,
all HTML.
It was all coded in a combination of Netscape Navigator Gold and was it Cool Edit or whatever it was, let you do the 3D effects on the text.
Cool Edit was audio editor.
It was something
got bought by Adobe and called Adobe Audition now.
Okay, it was something that let you do the 3D.
Like Corel Word Art.
Yeah, but it wasn't Corel. It wasn't a big brand like that. Let me just see if they're even still around. Oh, they are. They're still using my logo. Wow.
Damn good logo. Why pay somebody else to do it?
Well, that logo goes back 20... When was that? When did I make that? 99 I made that logo. So that logo's been around for a while.
Paint Shop Pro 2.
No, GIMP. That would have been done in GIMP. Yep. I've been using GIMP.
Nice.
I'll have to go back through and have a look at their website later and see if it's still got some of my other stuff on there.
Memories like the corners of my mind. Should we do some
funny.
noose?
Why not?
Google's Maps app will start directing drivers along routes estimated to generate the lowest carbon emission based on traffic, slopes, and other factors, the company announced. Google said the feature will launch later this year in the US and eventually reach other countries as part of its commitment to help combat climate change through its services. Unless users opt out, the default route will be eco-friendly one if comparable options take about the same time. When alternatives are significantly faster, Google will offer choices and let the user compare estimated emissions. What we are seeing is for around half of the routes, we are able to find an option more eco-friendly with minimal or no time and cost trade-off, Russell Dicker, Director of Product at Google, told reporters. Google said it derives its emissions relative estimates by testing across different types of vehicles and road types, drawing on insights from the US government's National Renewable Energy Lab. Road-grade data comes from its own street view cars, as well as aerial and satellite imagery. The potential effect on emissions from the feature is unclear, but in a study of 20 people at California State University, Long Beach, university researchers last year found participants were more inclined to consider carbon emissions in route selection after testing an app that showed estimates. Google's announcement included additional climate-focused changes. From June, it will start warning drivers about travel through low-emission zones where some vehicles are restricted in Germany, France, the Netherlands, Spain, and the UK. In the coming months, the map app users will be able to compare car, biking, public transit, and other travel options in place instead of toggling between different sections.
Yeah.
There you go. Keep your carbon emissions down for your car.
Keep my carbon emissions down. Stop eating baked beans is what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah. Works for me. And cabbage and onions. Beans, a musical fruit.
I was watching Blazing Saddles the other day.
Ah, that'll be good fun.
That scene cracks me up every time. So funny they didn't want it in there. They're like, no, you can't play that scene. He's like, guess
Too bad.
I got creative control over the movie. I can do whatever I want. Hey, look, see, I wasn't lying. I found an article. Their website's not up anymore. Well, not great anymore, but Grantech 1394 Firewire host adapters for video conferencing and stuff.
Oh, there you go.
So they've still got that article on their website back from 2001, I think it was. Yeah, there you go, July 2001.
Wow.
In what magazine was that? I can't remember what magazine that was now. Like Home Computing or something.
All right.
Back in the day. Oh, man. That was memories. When was that? Let's see if I can find a date. It's funny because you go to the industry magazine reviews, and that was they got the Australian Video Camera Magazine, July 2001. PC Update, September 2001. Melbourne Group, 2001. The Age IT section, 2001. It's like, guys, come on. You haven't done anything in like 20 years.
Nah.
Oh, it's funny.
Pull your finger out.
I have to admit, though, we had like, I don't know if they've still got it. It'd be worth a fortune now. We had the entire back wall of the shop, and it was a pretty big shop. It was all CRTs.
Ah.
And it was all the old like IBM VGAs and like a lot of monochrome and a lot of EGA, CGA, like real old CRT stuff.
Yep.
I bet they don't have it anymore, but it'd be awesome if they did.
Yeah.
I remember just chucking so much of that into skips. Just, oh man, it hurts. It hurts so much.
Yeah. All the old computers. I got a bookshelf this week, a big one that's got my Amiga VZ300 and Commodore 64, and then the programming books and other books all around it. Looks really schmick.
Yeah, it fits perfectly. It's almost like you meant to do it.
Maybe I should have.
Yeah, if you had actually meant. Imagine what it'd be like if you actually meant to do it.
Yeah.
It's not going to really show up too well, but yeah. You can see it sitting there with your little tiny computers and your bigger. There's a difference in it. I mean, that's a good illustration of like what Amiga 500 versus. Is it Amiga 500 on the top?
Yep.
Yeah. And I can't see what the other ones are. Is that a Commodore in the bottom? Commodore 64?
Yep. Commodore 64C, and in the middle VZ300.
VZ. So that's the difference. I mean, they're all about the same age, so technically they're all very similar internally. But you look at the size difference on the.
Commodore 64 goes at 1 megahertz, the VZ at 4.64 megahertz, and Amiga I don't even know.
Amiga 500. Yeah, it was. I can't remember now. 4, 6. There was. I think at the time it was touted as the most powerful, but I mean, how do you rate? Power.
Yep.
Like it's like they do these days.
7.
Okay, I wasn't far off with 6. I knew it was faster than a lot of them. I think
Motorola 68,000.
I think the Amstrad had the coloured keyboard with the built-on tape drive. I think it was matching it pretty well for pace from memory. But yeah, good old.
It might be the 6128.
Something like that.
Amstrad, yep.
I think it was actually a VGA output instead of a analog. I think it was one of the first digital. I don't know. I can't remember things. Don't ask me things. Xiaomi.
We're old farts.
Speaking of Xiaomi.
Bless you.
See? Xiaomis. Love them.
Pretty.
Great. They're pretty.
Bundle slab.
Geez, they're freaking bullet. This thing has been dropped from everywhere. It's slid off the roof of the car. It's been kicked across the workshop. It's had things dropped on it. It's fallen off the floor. Like, it just...
On purpose?
Not generally. It just keeps coming back for more. It's amazing. The battery life, I'm at 89% and I took it off the charge at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yep.
Like, it's just phenomenal, these things. But anyway, enough about that.
Mine's 66%.
So
And it was charging in the car while I was driving earlier today.
no,
it wasn't.
I've used a fair bit of mine today.
Off the charge, 66% now. So yours doing much better.
Yeah, well, if I look at my work, and this has got a lot of stuff on it, my work phone, which we just use for phone calls, I think it's only got emails and phone calls set up. It doesn't have Facebook and all the other push notifications. I checked it just before, and it's still on 98%.
Nice. Is that a Nokia?
No, same. It's actually.
It sounds like it would be.
It's the same phone as this. It's actually the same one. Same model, the Note 9 or whatever they are, but it's only got email push notification. That's the only push notification it has, so it doesn't use a lot of battery checking every minute or two. And for phone calls, and it's still 98%. So
nice.
I normally charge it up on Monday, and it's fine all week. I don't worry about it. It's so weird having a phone you can do that with. But anyway, so Xiaomi has confirmed that it will start an electric car business.
Nice.
With batteries
Very
that'll last all week. With an initial investment of $10 billion or 10 billion RMB, which is about $1.5 billion, and $10 billion over the next 10 years, the company will set up a wholly owned subsidiary to operate smart electric vehicle business. It wrote in an investor filing. It's yet to say where it plans to sell the car. Won't be America. In addition to Xiaomi, other Chinese tech companies, including Huawei and Baidu, are rumored to be developing smart EVs as well. The Chinese market's already fairly crowded. It really is. There's a lot of Chinese EVs, just insane. And now they're manufacturing Teslas there as well.
Wow.
And the Tesla sales, just Tesla sales, not including all other ones, are expected to increase 50% this year. So,
nice.
It doesn't have much information. It's only started in the infancy stage of doing the whole thing. It's having trouble sourcing parts because of US sanctions. Won't be a big deal ultimately once the Tesla factory gets up and going. A lot of the batteries and stuff will be made there, so they're going to have less trouble with this sort of stuff. And 98% of the components now are being duplicated in China anyway, so they're not going to have trouble for long. But they're so it's going to be interesting to see. They don't have a lot of information on it yet, other than they're going to go a different way than a lot of other manufacturers are going, apparently. And they've also just released their Mi 11 Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a few things. It's the first smartphone to feature Samsung's new ISOGEL GN2 camera, which has the Snapdragon 888 flagship processor. It has the has a smaller quad curved AMOLED screen on the back that allows you to take the 3200 by 1400 megapixel or pixel image with 120 refresh rate, but it uses a selfie cam, so it's got a screen basically on where your camera would be. It's got a quad camera like this one, and instead of this one having a fingerprint scanner here, it actually has a screen down here, so you can actually see what you're filming, or you can use it as a battery monitor, or you can use it as just a separate screen or a phone call thing.
Notifications.
Yeah, basically. So it's got the it's got a 20 megapixel 2.2 pinhole selfie camera as well on front, which probably have less use now than it was going to. But yeah, so it's got the 1.1 inch AMOLED screen on the back. It also serves as a mirror if you want it to, so you can use it for a mirror like that as well. But yeah, so this whole new ISOGEL GN2 sensor thing is a game changer apparently in terms of mobile technology. It basically it's a 50 megapixel camera, but it's a bigger sensor, but it's also the way it uses the light is different. Apparently it takes like 2 photos simultaneously, and then so it can do like what would normally be HDR, where you take multiple images and you set your ranges and get the peak thing.
Yep.
This thing does it in one shot.
Oh.
Without affecting the quality, and actually often usually makes the quality bigger. It also doubles the light, so in low light, like in pitch black, dark, moonless night, it's almost like daylight.
Oh, Jesus.
It uses less power. It's also faster, has the ability to do 100 megapixel images in mosaic algorithms, merging 3 individual 50 megapixel layers into a red, a green, and a blue, and then upscaling to a 100 megapixel single image.
Wow.
So it's the color contrast, because it actually uses 3 individual filters, like lens filters, not digital filters. It can actually get the full spectrum of all 3 colors, and when it merges them, it's a perfect reproduction, including light sensitivity and stuff like that. So you can have it see through the fog, or if you want to take a photo of how foggy it is, it can see the fog. Like it has this full range of effects. So it's apparently, I haven't really looked into it too much. I only heard about it the other day when I was looking up on the new Xiaomi phone. But the stupid part is this, this new phone, which has got, as I said, insane Snapdragon. It's got massive memory, massive storage, all this sort of stuff. And I think the base model has 12 gig of RAM, 256 gig of storage. That's the base model, and it's going to be like 900 Australian.
Yep.
Like it's just, stupidly cheaply priced. So
I think I'd be tempted to maybe try one of the foldable phones if they can make them good and not break.
if anyone can do it, Xiaomi can, I tell you.
You remember that Infinity or something one that they had the screen that went around 87% of the phone?
Yeah.
What happened to that? Just a concept phone.
No, it was released, but it just wasn't very popular because it wasn't practical.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it doesn't seem ultra practical, but when you realise that like that little screen on the back next to your camera, you can do all this other stuff with it, It's not just a selfie screen.
Yep.
It can be, like if you've got your phone face down on the table, which automatically puts it into, you can set it to automatically put it into silence.
Yep.
The screen on the back will still show you if a phone call's coming in or whatever you want to see. So
that's handy.
Yeah. So if you're expecting a call, you can still, if you're in a meeting, you can still put your phone down, and which mine works half the
Do
time.
they have a widget for the price of Bitcoin?
See that? It just does that.
Random.
Look, the screen's off.
Yep.
The light's on. That's
Lights on, but nobody's home.
it's a known. It's supposed to be a security feature. You're supposed to be able to, you twist your phone twice or something and it comes on. So you don't have to actually go and load the app up and turn it on. But the problem is sometimes when you're looking at your phone and you'll flip it like this, it'll go, hey, you want your torch on? You're like, no, I just want to, never mind.
We already knew that PayPal was planning to support cryptocurrencies as a form of payment, and now the online payment app announced US customers can do just that with its checkout with crypto feature, with it rolling out today. After rolling out the ability for US users to buy and sell cryptocurrency directly from their accounts last November, PayPal's new checkout with crypto allows users to instantly convert their Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, or Bitcoin Cash to US dollars with no additional transaction fees that PayPal then uses to complete the transaction. If a merchant doesn't take US dollars, PayPal also converts those dollars into local currency at a standard conversion rate set by PayPal. The feature will automatically appear in the PayPal wallet if a user has sufficient cryptocurrency balance to cover an eligible purchase, and you'll be able to see your crypto balances for each kind of coin in the app. However, you can only use one type of cryptocurrency for each purchase you make. Yeah. PayPal's not the first payment app to offer support for cryptocurrency. In 2018, its competitor Square launched support for Bitcoin on the Cash app, but the launch of cryptocurrency as a form of payment makes PayPal both a major digital wallet and a cryptocurrency exchange, which could streamline the use of cryptocurrency as a more common payment method. During its Investor Day last week, the company reported that it had 377 million active accounts.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And this is what I was saying about having the instantaneous transfer where you can't do a holding. Well, PayPal's an instantaneous transfer.
Yeah.
That's a one-up over an FPOS, see? So I think they're... okay, it's only in the States, which is annoying at this stage, but...
Can you get PayPal on FPOS yet?
PayPal on FPOS? Not that I'm aware of, no.
Oh.
You can do... No, the only one I've seen that's sort of like that, I've seen like Alipay and a couple like that. I think you can use PayPal with Square.
Yep.
I think they integrate together, but not on a normal FPOS, from what I'm aware of. But they probably will. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, the place that I go to on Friday nights for board games, they've got a little cafe thing there, and they've just got a Square terminal.
Yeah, well, a lot of them, like the guy who comes and does our fruit and veg and stuff, he's just got the Bluetooth. He's just got it on the back of his phone. Yeah, and you just swipe the back of that.
And I just use my watch.
Yeah, I do when I remember to take it.
It's Xiaomi watch.
Yeah. My Fitbit, but that's not. The battery life. Speaking of battery life, that thing has been like 3 weeks since it's charged.
That's nice.
It's nuts.
Did I even mention I upgraded to the Fitbit Sense?
What's the difference?
It's got it can do. It's going. I'm not sure if it can yet, or it's going to be able to do SP oxygen level, but it also has Google Assistant.
Oh, okay.
So you can. The other ones only had Amazon, but now that Google has bought Fitbit, they've integrated Google Assistant with it, so you can use that for your talk to it and say things, and then you can make phone calls and talk through your watch, which I've not even tried yet.
That's very awkward. I've tried with.
But I use it for. Everybody thought being Dick Tracy would be really cool, but it turns out that it kind of looks stupid.
If you've got.
If you're the kind of person who puts a phone call on and puts it on speaker mode and talks like this.
And walks around the street and then complains that everyone else is making a noise. What is with that? If you want to do that... You
probably like talking into your watch like that. Copy that.
Yeah, I know, right? No, I have used that feature, not for making phone calls, but you know how you can do like reply on Facebook with a voice reply? It's really handy for stuff like that. If you don't have your phone, like your phone's over there or whatever, you haven't got your earphones in, you can do it with that. It's good for doing that sort of thing.
Somebody sends a text message or Facebook, and I can just go, "Yep, that's fine."
Yeah, or making memos or whatever. But it's not.
Might take 3 or 4 goes sometimes.
Yeah, I can't see it being a practical app. The one thing I do like, the integration side of it, I like the fact that it vibrates, lets me know I've got a message or a call or whatever. That's cool. Yep. But to actually use it, to read a message is okay, but to actually use it for
I had to disable it for WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And not because WhatsApp is a problem, but because there's one person who was on my WhatsApp that would send a message, "Hi Jace," send. "How are you today?" Send. "Did you see that thing in the news?" Send.
There's always that one person,
cool.
Isn't there?
Send. And I'm like, you could send one message and put all that in the one message. You don't have to hit send after every phrase. It's not even full sentences. Sometimes it's like 4 words.
Yeah.
Send. My watch go. Bzz, 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 bzz. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah. On the upside, at least Engine and Dogecoin are both up today.
Yes.
Engine's up 8% and Dogecoin's up 26%.
Nice.
So that's good.
And I got rid of all my Doge.
I just bought some more. Well, I tried to buy Engine the other night and it wigged out and wouldn't let me do it. So I thought, fine, I'll buy some more Doge then.
Yeah, I'm still mining away.
Yeah, I'm
doing $11.63 a day if I kept it going all day, but I usually turn it off at 11 at night.
So I'm doing like.
I still haven't got my Tesla Powerwall yet.
I'm doing like $7 a day, something like that. So.
All the, I think it's all the flooding and stuff just put everybody back so far, and it was raining for like 2 weeks solid, so they're all catching up on all the different things.
Yeah. So speaking of mobile phone companies that are doing other things, Apple decided to build a battery-based solar energy storage project in California.
Whoa.
It's a really fancy way of saying that they're building a new facility for data storage.
Yep.
And they want to make it independently powered. So they're storing 240 megawatt hours of energy which would power more than 7,000 homes for one day.
Wow.
It's it's located in California. Solar installations in Monterey, southeastern Monterey, about 100 miles southeast of Apple's California headquarters. The site sends 130 megawatts of electricity directly to Apple's facilities during daylight hours. At the moment, it doesn't provide power during dark hours, but what they want to do is set up a giant power wall. Now,
and who will they buy that from, Will?
Well, this is the part that gets a little he said, she said, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Most of the reports have said that they're going to be using Tesla power.
Yep.
There's, from what I can find, and as of now anyway, I haven't seen any conclusive reports from Apple to say either way.
Yep.
They have said that they're looking at apparently they're looking at X number of suppliers who can do this, but there's only realistically in the world there's only a handful of companies that are capable of doing this sort of scale. Yep. And Tesla is the one on the forefront. And if Apple wants something now and done properly, most likely is going to be a Tesla. They're not 100% said. Like LG could potentially do it, even though they're using half of the Tesla system now anyway. But you could have Trina Bess, and you could have there's a few companies that are making. I mean, there's a lot of companies that make storage, like batteries, like Panasonic, Samsung, LG, that sort of stuff, who make cells, but there's not that many companies that make actual full
giga batteries like we've got in South Australia,
ready to go giant power solutions,
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see. They also have wind as a backup as well, so overnight that's obviously producing some energy, so theoretically they can power. I think they said that it powers their facility for like 5 days or something of bad weather.
Yep.
But so it's going to be interesting that they're sort of heading that way.
I thought renewable's not good because the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow.
Usually one or the other's happening. Yes, I know you're referencing, but I give up.
Only if Big Oil wants you to think that.
Oh, look, there's a whole other debate on what is and what isn't classified as renewable energy, because I mean, the energy itself's renewable, but is the product that's collecting the renewable energy renewable? Like, at what point do you stop? How far do you follow the production line?
Yeah.
But in this situation, I think, it's going to be interesting. It'll be a hell of a boon for Tesla if they do, just for the financial boost. Certainly not that Tesla's struggling at all, but to take some of that wealth that Apple's got and transfer it to Tesla, I don't think it's going to hurt Tesla shares at all.
No.
And given that Tesla's going to be trading in Bitcoin soon, I think that'll give them a decent
Tesla with Bitcoin now, can't you?
Yeah, it'll give them a decent amount of trading. Not just Tesla, you can buy a lot of their merchandise. If you go to the website and you want to buy a lot of their merchandise, you can buy it on Bitcoin too.
Cybertruck.
So, the dream that's never going to happen. Although they're still, I don't know, they're still saying they haven't ruled out making it yet. So, who knows?
What's this thing up here?
So I don't know. I've given up with that stuff. I can't read tonight. So we do Patreon. Obviously, we have our Patreon, and we have the coffee.com. We also can accept PayPal donations. But Patreon's a good way. We are doing. Actually, we need to do that now that we're 2 weeks holiday. We'll have time to do that. We're going to do another Patreon only show. And so we do thank our patrons and we thank our supporters, and it does help us a lot to get the show running and paying for our Zoom and paying for our hosting and paying for the stuff we need to pay for. It makes a big difference. We're not sponsored. We not in a financial sense anyway. So it does help us a lot when you guys
We appreciate
throw
you
us a
guys.
few bucks. It does make a big difference. It actually makes it worth continuing to do the show. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Sydney computers. Sydney commuters will soon be able to use digital Opal cards to pay for Ubers, taxis, and share bikes, and score discounts for multimodal public transport journeys. New South Wales Transport Minister Andrew Constance revealed the planned trial on the sidelines of the Future Transport Technology Summit on Tuesday, 4 years after first flagging the idea. The trial, which is expected to kick off in mid-2020, will be limited to the 10,000 digital Opal card holders that have been testing the virtual transit card since December. As part of the trial, users earn credit on their account, which is underpinned by the Opal Connect payments platform each time they transfer to public transport from ride-sharing services. For the middle of this year, up to 10,000 Opal digital card users will be able to pay for an Uber, a fixed fare in-go-go taxi trip, or Lime Bike journey using their Opal card. If they then catch public transport within 60 minutes, they'll receive a credit to their Opal card account of up to $3. Constance said that if successful, Transport for New South Wales would look to extend the trial across the network and invite additional providers. We know how convenient using one card is, and this could be just the beginning. It could also set in motion the government's plans for Netflix-style subscription service for transport, which Constance raised first in 2019. Uber Australia's General Manager Dom Taylor said the trial was a fantastic example of how government and industry can work together to deliver better ways to move people from A to B. Sydney-siders
Government and anybody working together. Good luck with that.
Sydney-siders can already access public transport information via the Uber app, he said. Now they can use Uber to take the stress out of getting to and from a public transport hub and be rewarded for it as well.
Fair enough. Because, public transport's ticketing systems are flawless, so why not?
No problems there.
Speaking of government, Service New South Wales is unable to notify... excuse me. Is unable to notify 54,000 customers that's impacted by its cyber attack, which is more than half of the people who had their data stolen. Service New South Wales had 104,000 customers who had their personal information stolen in an email compromise attack against 47 staff members last year.
Oh, I got a question. If they can't find a way to contact them, couldn't they ask the hackers to give them the email addresses and phone numbers that they stole, and then they could...
Let's buy the blacklist off the hackers.
Yeah, pay them in Bitcoin. It works for the ransomware. So
here's the thing about it. So the data breach, which exposed 736 gig of data between March and April 2020, is likely to cost $35 million to remediate, which is more than 5 times as much as first estimated. They're estimators on the ball. So the agency has only used registered mail to notify customers to date, and bid to reduce the prospect of scammers impersonating the agency. So here's the thing. This hasn't been on the news, so nobody knows it's going to be a thing. They haven't announced that they're going to send registered mail.
I've not heard of it.
They haven't tried the emails or the phone numbers that they clearly had that got compromised in the first place. And they haven't put on their website, really, or they haven't advertised on their website other than this article. Now, if I'm not expecting something to come via registered mail and a registered mail package turns up, I'm not going to go and collect it. Because it's usually spam and scam anyway. Or it's like, I don't know, something that, well, if you're not expecting, if you're expecting something from eBay or whatever, okay, fine. But if you're, especially if you're an older person, half of them wouldn't even know what registered mail is anyway.
Yep.
And even if they did, they're like, well, I'm not going to go all the way down to the post office just to pick up that, and I don't know what it's going to be, so it's in no rush. And after 3 weeks, if you don't pick up registered mail, it gets sent back.
Yep.
So
it's going to be a lot getting sent back.
They've clearly really tried to contact their customer base.
Yeah.
Idiots. But basically, so there's also a further 36,000 people who were never contacted because they were unable to source their current information.
How do they contact them at any other time?
So
If you don't pay for your rego or license, do they not contact you because they got no way to do it?
So the database that had identities stolen that aren't contactable.
They also
why were they in the
use that
database?
Service Australia app for COVID tracing. So if they don't have the details to contact the people,
it just gets
they're
better
like,
and
let's
better.
just roll everything we can into the service app and then let everybody get.
There are approximately 36,000 people for whom insufficient information is available to send a safe notification by registered mail.
They all put 123 High Street Wonderland or something.
The risk to these individuals is considered much lower based on the limited amount of data infiltrated.
Okay.
So because you can't figure out who they are, their information is not as important.
Yeah. Well, the hackers don't have any way to contact them if we don't, so therefore they're safe.
Oh dear. But the funny thing about it is last month when this was all happening, apparently there's been an inquiry and everything apparently.
Yep.
Not that anybody's heard about it.
Nope.
But they were saying that last week they were saying that approximately 80% of people have been notified and have been we've had feedback saying that they've received notification. There's only
80% of the 50% they could send,
and there's only about 20,000 customers yet to be contacted.
So
he was only off by
maths is hard.
100,
A break.
by what is it? So there was 54,000 people who haven't responded yet, and there's 36,000 people they can't even notify.
Yep.
So there's 80,000, 90,000. There's 90,000 people out of the 104,000 people that haven't been notified. So 14
Keeps getting worse.
Yeah, 14,000 people out of 104,000 have been notified.
You're welcome.
So this is why one of the reasons the COVID tracing app doesn't work, because you got infidels running the system. But seriously, it's the and they're saying that they're working on other breaches that possibly have happened, but they're not sure yet. In cases like the births, deaths, and marriages department, which they may or may not have been infiltrated, and the Foreign Affairs Department of Foreign Affairs, which may or may not have been infiltrated.
Keeps getting worse. I thought for mine I'd finish on a lighter note. A mafia fugitive has been arrested in the Dominican Republic after inadvertently tipping off police with his culinary hobby. After 7 years on the run, Mark Ferren Claude Biart was tracked down through a YouTube cooking channel he started with his wife, Italian police said in a statement. The alleged gangster's love for Italian cuisine and tattoo ink made his arrest possible, the police said. Though he carefully hid his face, Biart failed to disguise his distinctive body tattoos. Police said they believe Biart is a member of the notorious Negaretta crime syndicate, one of the most feared and powerful in Europe, from the Calabria region at the toe of southern Italy's boot-shaped peninsula. He had been wanted for allegedly trafficking cocaine to the Netherlands since 2014, police said. Biart, 53, had been living in the Dominican Republic for the past 5 years, and police said he had been keeping a low profile during his stay in the Caribbean, besides the cooking videos he posted to the internet. He was known to locals simply as Mark and kept his distance from the Italian community in the popular tourist destination. Lieutenant Colonel Massimiliano Galasso, a Reggio Calabria police official, told NBC News that the authorities had never stopped searching for Biart and recently turned to open source intelligence. There you go. If you're on the lam, don't go posting videos of yourself making lamb for dinner. How do criminals get away with so much stuff when they seem to be the dumbest things out, but they get away with a lot, make a ton of money from it? I don't understand.
Anyway. CBA, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, sued by ASIC for I did it again.
Yep.
Allegedly.
It was never going to work.
I rehearsed this story like 4 times on the headline because I said it every single time. Allegedly overcharging customers. CBA is facing allegations that it incorrectly charged customers monthly access fees totaling almost $55 million over a 9-year period.
Whoops. Oh, sorry. That was what a mistake to make. Absolutely.
Apparently, it wasn't their fault because it was a data entry error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. No problem there. They need the money, obviously, otherwise they would complain.
Yeah. The Australian Securities Investment Commission, ASIC, has filed civil proceedings in the federal court against CBA's conduct, which occurred because of 30 different ways in which CBA's systems and processes were inadequate, improperly configured, or allowed manual errors that resulted in the monthly access fees being charged. 30 different ways that their systems are misconfigured. ASIC
we had a royal commission and we made recommendations we recommend they don't ever follow.
Yeah, exactly. ASIC alleges that between 2010 and 2019, CBA charged fees that should have been waived under contractual conditions. Monthly access fees ranging from $4 to $6 were supposed to be waived under specific criteria, such as minimum deposits, etc. Some ASIC alleged some charges were incorrectly levied due to wrongly archived data, files, or incorrect configuration of the bank system. This impacted nearly 1 million customers and more than 800,000 accounts, with CBA pocketing $55 million. It received 14,000 complaints over a 9-year period. It has since repaid $66 million, which includes interest on the incorrectly charged fees. Yeah, but how much have they earned on the $55 million?
Yeah.
The 66,
exactly.
The $66 million in $10 fees isn't that much in interest, but $55 million sitting in the bank is a much higher interest rate. ASIC commented on proceedings because financial institutions need to... ASIC commenced the proceeding because financial institutions need to have robust compliance systems to meet their obligations to customers.
They got them, they just don't use them.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't say they have to use them, it just says they have to have them. Financial institutions need to put customers first. Really? Since
We're
when?
very blurry, son.
Nah, it's okay. It's exactly how I feel, so it's fine. And customers should have confidence that the banks they deal with charge fees correctly. CBA released a statement apologising for CBA released a statement apologising to impacted customers. No. Get in there. However, stated it will defend how the alleged breaches were expressed by the ASIC. So basically, it was their fault. They've admitted it was their fault. They've paid back what was their fault. So everything from now that happens with the federal court hearing is going to go straight into the government coffers because they've already paid back the people.
Yep.
Wonder how much the government's going to make out of that. Mozzarella.
Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Crypto Show, broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Techheads, twitter.com/Aussie Techheads, and youtube.com/Aussie Techheads. Also patreon.com/Aussie Techheads and coffee.com, ko-fi.com/Aussie Techheads. Email us glenn.warlock at aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Techheads on aussietechradio.com, 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. New shows added each Friday. See you next time.
Bye.